Come if you can hear me.
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you. Go
All
on.
right, thank you. You actually got the name right. I mean, if I will rate you a 9/10. I think you tried. So
Thank you so much.
no, no issues. All right. So good morning, everyone, and thanks for this opportunity to speak today. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to. Can you please? Okay, I'm trying to share my screen, but it's saying it's disabled. Oh, perhaps I should have shared my this thing with you earlier then. Or is there where you can allow me share my screen?
Yeah, you can try it now, sir. You can try it now.
All right. Okay, yeah, I can now.
Okay,
I
so
can now. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, let me do my full screen first. Okay, so I'll be speaking to us on the I mean my understanding is that many of us here are finance oriented, and as a finance person, you agree with me that tax is one of the core areas of finance, which is for essential for daily and operational use. Right. So in preparation for the in preparation ahead of next year, I'm sure many of us are aware that there is the Nigerian Tax Act, which is set to become effective from 1st January 2026. And in preparation of this, we'll be discussing some of the key provisions in the act, and things that we need to be aware of entering 2026, and things that we may need to to do better or to do differently. And I'll be speaking for both individual and corporate enterprise. So I'll try as much as possible to keep the presentation short, because it's a very wide conversation, and trust me, it's not something that we can finish or cover all today. All right, so I'll just try to pick on key changes that the Nigerian Tax Act 2025 is introducing. All right, so once again, my name is Babajide Babatunde, and I work with KPMG. And I would like to say that anything I say on this call, be it in form of, anything I say on this call should not be seen as a financial advice. So it will be important you reach out to your financial advisor for proper consultation. Okay, so as things I'll be speaking on will be on generic and not specific issues. Okay, and earlier, I mean, from the commencement, when the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu resumed office, almost maybe like 3 months or 4 months into office, he set up a committee to look into the tax reforms in Nigeria. And the committee, they've worked year in, year out, and they came up with four acts, which is meant to consolidate over 50 or close to 60 tax acts that we have in Nigeria. So we have the Nigerian Tax Act, NTA, we have the Nigeria Tax Administrative Act, NTAA, we have the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Act, and we have the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act. But for the purpose of this conversation, we'll only be speaking on the NTA and the NTAA, as they are the things that affect us the most. They are the things that affect us the most. Okay? Please confirm you can see my screen. That's my screen, right?
yes, we can see your screen, sir.
All right, absolutely. Okay, so what is the objective of the tax reform? Essentially, like I said earlier on, currently we have so many tax legislations in Nigeria, up to 60 or thereabout. So that's a lot. And I could remember starting my career like half a decade ago. I met so many legislation. There's PIT, there's VAT, there's withholding tax regulation, there's CIT, I mean, they're all there, PIA, PPT. I mean, they're just here and there, and they all have supporting legislation. So which makes it complex. And for you to make interpretations to some provisions, you'll have to open one law, then check another law, and if care is not taken, you may miss out some laws while doing your checks. So this NT has come to do what? To harmonize everything into one. Okay, and also there are some provisions in the current legislation that seems to be archaic, and they no longer stand the test of time, and they are not in compliance. They are not in compliance with global standards. So the NTA has come, to sort of address that and make necessary modifications. Okay, so going into it, so let's look at some key provisions relating to individuals. I know one of the things that I know people have talked about so much online is relating to the rates. Okay, so the NTA has come to change the rates and the tax bracket for individuals. Okay, so on your left here, you can see the current rates, which is on first 300,000 subject to tax at 7%, next 300 at 11%, and so on and so forth like that. And on your right, you see new rates. Sorry, can
laugh. My niece got married as a new wedded couple.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I think the person has been muted now. So on the right side, so you can see the proposed rates of first 800,000 at 0%. So what does it? Let me just quickly touch base on this. What does this tell you? That if you, and these numbers, they are annual figures. Do you understand? They are annual figures, not monthly, please. So meaning that in a year, if your total salary is 800,000, do you get? That means you won't be subject to any tax. Interestingly, what people don't even realize is that even if your income is like 1 million naira annually, in as much as your taxable income, because what is your taxable income? Your taxable income is basically your gross income, less some of reliefs and all of that. In as much as your taxable income is not above 800,000 naira, okay, you will not be subject to any income tax in Nigeria. Okay, but whereby maybe let's say your taxable income is, let's say in a year, let's say 15 million. So what this provision tell you is that first 800,000 out of the 15 million will be subject to income tax at 0%. How much do you have left? You have 14.2 million naira left. Out of the 14.2 million naira, take out 2.2 million naira. That 2.2 million naira subject to tax at 15%. Okay, how much do you have left? You have 12 million naira left. Out of the 12 million naira, take out 9 million again, subject to tax at 18%. So it is a scaling and progressive tax system. Right, so I just thought to take some time to explain this, because I mean, I've seen a lot of controversies online regarding that. Okay, it's your entire income is subject to tax at 25%. That's not true. All right, and also the Nigerian Tax Act repeals the consolidated relief allowance and replaced it with what we call rent allowance of 500,000 or 20% of your annual rent paid, whichever is lower. I know we may have questions around this, but trust me, I know what your question is, and I may not have answer to it regarding how would they determine the rent, because the law says rent paid. So does it mean that we will have to provide receipts to our employer, or our tenancy agreement we'll have to share with our employer? I really don't know, but I want to believe that an implementation committee has been set up, and I can assure you that the implementation committee, not the fiscal reform committee, the implementation committee, they've been set up to look at some of these gray areas, and they are seriously working on it. So trust me, in few weeks or starting January, you begin to see some regulatory guidelines throwing light into many of these issues. All right, so let us keep calm. The questions will be addressed coming next year or in few weeks' time. Okay, moving forward, the NTA also increased the CGT rate. Currently, we have it at 10%. So the NTA has sort of proposed an increase that, I mean, not directly an increase, but an alignment of the CGT to the personal income tax, meaning that you now calculate and pay your CGT alongside your personal income tax. Do you understand? So it will add to your total taxable, I mean, your chargeable profits will add to your taxable income. And with that, you pay your tax based on the rates that I've earlier explained. However, we have some exemption. And that's including dwelling house. We are selling the house where you currently stay, in as much as it is not for commercial purposes. We are exempted. Personal charters above 5 million naira, and also motor vehicle up to a maximum of 2 in a year of assessment. Because you will agree with me, at the time you are selling more than 2 cars in a year, that means you already become a car dealer. So I don't think that should be an issue. All right. Oh, sorry, I skipped that. Okay, so one last thing I would like to talk relating to individuals is exemption of compensation of and damages for chargeable gains. So if you receive if you the NTA sort of increase the threshold of taxation exemption of income from compensation of loss of office from 10 million naira to 50 million naira. Okay, and also compensation of any wrong or injury suffered by any individual. Anything below 50 million naira will not be considered as chargeable gains, which is actually a good thing. I mean, giving us a lot of exemption. So briefly, let's look at the key provisions as it relates to individuals. Okay, so the NTA increased the threshold. It increased the threshold for small businesses. Currently, we have it at 25 million naira. So the NTA has proposed to increase it to 100 million naira. Okay, 100 million naira revenue and a total fixed assets of 25 million naira. Some people want to ask, what if I don't meet the what if I exceed the revenue threshold, but I don't meet the asset threshold? Be mindful, the act says and, meaning that the two conditions have to be jointly it has to be jointly met. Okay, so that is key about that. However, it will be important for me to also highlight that the NTAA defines it as 50 million naira threshold with the same assets threshold. However, regarding this, I want to believe that there will be regulations to clarify this. But personally, if you ask me, I think the intention is to increase it to 100 million, not 50 million naira. All right. And also, companies that are classified as small companies will be exempted from income tax of 30%. All right. And this does not apply to partnership and sole traders. And definition of Nigerian companies, sort of the definition of a Nigerian company has been, the scope has been broadened in the sense that a Nigerian company is not only limited to incorporation in Nigeria. It also includes companies whose central or effective place of management control is in Nigeria. And it's a very broad term. And it is of serious concern. Okay? Because what are they trying to say? You have a company in Mauritius, incorporated in Mauritius, but you carry out management activities from Nigeria. The management is being carried on here in Nigeria. That kind of a company will be seen as a Nigerian company, and as a result, will subject to tax in Nigeria. This is very interesting and very key. Okay, taxation of lottery. The NTA provides that income of lottery and gaming trade of business will be subject to income tax rate of 0% or 30%, depending on your, revenue and asset threshold. All right. Moving forward, METR, minimum effective tax rate. The NTA also introduced METR in a situation whereby like your effective tax rate in any year is less than 15%, you'll be required to do a top-up. Let's say your METR is 12%. Just do a top-up of 3% and pay to the tax authority. However, this METR is only applicable to, either you are a multinational and your global revenue turnover is your global turnover is above 750 million euros, or you are just a Nigerian company with 50 billion naira and above. So this applies to you. So you'll be required to do a top up. Okay. CFC rule, controlled foreign entity. The entity also introduced. I mean, this CFC. We have it in other jurisdiction. I think I'm aware of UK because I mean I've done some work related to UK, and I'm aware that it's not new to Nigeria. We just typically went somewhere to copy it and adopted it, and put it in the NT. So it's what does the CFC rule, what does it say? It's basically to tax profit of foreign subsidiaries in the hands of Nigerian parent companies, even if undistributed. Profit that could have been distributed to the Nigerian parent without detriment to the foreign subsidiary. So let me explain this in a in a layman's language. So let's say we have XYZ Nigerian holding company, and you have subsidiary in, let's say, Kenya. Okay, as a subsidiary, I mean, as many of us as we are accountants, we know that it is required that as a subsidiary you do what, you pay dividend to your parent company. Though dividend is not mandatory, yeah, I agree, but I mean, is expected that you pay something, you pay returns to your shareholders. So now what the CFC rule is now saying is that in a situation whereby you did not make any dividend distribution to your parent company, any deemed dividend, I mean, in a situation whereby you are supposed to make dividend contributions to the Nigerian holding company, but you did not, this general strategic reason, that deemed dividend will be subject to tax in Nigeria. So it will be assumed, it will be deemed that the Nigerian parent company received that dividend. And this is a very, very key issue. Okay, but like I said, it's not only limited to Nigeria. It's not something that is new. Do you get it? I mean, it's something that I've seen around the world. All right. Foreign exchange restriction. So what this one is just saying is that the amount that will be allowable in your computation for CIT, let's say you incur expenses in foreign exchanges, it will only be limited to an amount based on CBN exchange rates. So let's say you incurred an expense, management expense of $1 million, and you got your exchange rate from the black market. Let's say black market sells for 1.5, but currently CBN sells for 1.4. So for the purpose of your CIT, the amount that you'll be able to take out as management expense will be $1 million at 1,400, which is the CBN rate, and not 1 million naira at 1,500 naira. So it's just sort of a way, to push companies to get exchange rates from banks and not from alternative sources. Okay, free trade zones. So the NTA repeal the some key provisions in the Free Trade Zones Establishment Act. Okay, and one of the key provision is Section 8, and I think 18, if I'm not mistaken, which is the section that exempts free trade zone entities from tax. All right, so now the new rule, like I said, withdraws tax exemption from free trade zone entities where over 25% of turnover comes from sales to the Nigerian customs territory. We have numbers of our free trade zones for those who may not be aware. We have like the Lekki Free Trade Zone, we have the Atlantic, we have the Calabar, we have so many of them. We have in Delta State as well, we have in Ogun State, we have quite a number of them. All right. So in a situation whereby these free trade zones, they sell to the custom territories, all right, And by custom territory, where do we mean? Any area that is not free trade zone, whereby you generate more than 25% of your income from the custom territory, you'll be subject to tax in Nigeria. However, starting from 2028, regardless of the percentage that you sell to the custom territory, you'll be subject to the tax. So no more 25% threshold. All right. Reclassification of VAT exempt goods. So we have some reclassification of some goods that were exempt before, they are now zero rated. What does this tell you? It means that you can now claim input VAT on them. And also, input VAT is now expanded to services and fixed assets. Okay, EDI. So in replacement of priority sectors, we now have EDI. We now have replacement of pioneer status. We now have EDI, highlighting some priority sectors. So, and the priority sectors are listed in the schedule in the NTA, right? So you may want to check that. Stamp duty on insurance, another kind. So the NTA also sort of introduce stamp duty. Make provision regarding stamp duty on insurance. All right, to be liable at 0.75%, 0.075%. Although this is not a call to highlight key issues, there's an issue around this stamp duty on insurance policies. All right, because there's an argument that insurance premium that insurance company receive is not their money. So why should we pay stamp duty on it? But that's not the conversation for today. Taxation of holding companies. Okay, whereby there's an holdco in Nigeria, you may be subject to METR on your subsidiaries. I think I've touched base on that slightly. Stamp duty relief for business reorganization. Yes, in the situation whereby like you are doing business reorganization, maybe doing some restructuring around, you'll be exempted from stamp duty, because you need to stamp some documents like where you have SPA, share purchase agreement, you may want to stamp it. You have loan agreement and all of that, you may want to stamp it. And this the stamp duty on them can be huge. But now there's exemption in as much as it relates to business reorganization. So we now have development levy of 4%. We no longer have all these small police trust levy, Naseni, NITSTA. Those will be scrapped. We just have a single 4% development levy. All right, e-invoicing. E-invoicing is something that is very, very, very key. And I would like to highlight to you on this call, if your organization is classified as a big company and you know that you have a turnover of 5 billion naira and above, I would suggest you recommend to your management to implement e-invoicing, because there is penalty for non-compliance regarding this. And what does this e-invoicing say? It typically says that going forward, 2026, any invoices you want to issue to your supplier, it must pass through FIRS system before you send it to your supplier. So this helps the tax authority to sort of have an idea of what your billings and collections are, so that they can know what they're expecting from you at the end of the month or at the end of the year. So, and if you need assistance relating to the implementation of this, you can reach out to consulting firm KPMG. Also do that, and we do that. We assist clients to onboard this e-invoicing of a thing. Like I said, it's a very, very fundamental and key thing to the tax authority. So they are very, very serious about it, and they've started the implementation. They started in November. So we have a number of clients that they've been onboarded already. So if you have not, please, this is a call to do so as soon as possible. Ignorance is not an excuse. All right. Business restructuring, exemption from VAT as well, exemption from income tax and transfer of tax assets. You cannot transfer tax assets under business restructuring. By tax asset, I mean capital allowances and what's it called? And losses. You can transfer under a business restructuring. Before, you'll have to seek approval, and most times the FRAs often kick back on that. But now it's expressly stated in the law that you can transfer. Input VAT, I've touched on by input VAT. Business exemption. Yeah, educational institutions and agricultural businesses are exempted from from income tax under the NTA. VAT refund, you can now get refund. It's not expressly written in the law. Before, not that refund doesn't work, it's just something that is rare. I could remember Taiwo speaking speaking at one of his at his engagement, saying that in his entire 30 years of experience, that he has only gotten refund from the tax authority maybe twice or so. So it's not something that is common, because usually what's best thing that the authority can do for you is that you should use it to offset other taxes. That's the best thing they can do for you. Not that you credit to your bank account. So I think I've touched base on this pioneer status. CGT on disposal for companies. So you are also meant to file CGT alongside company income tax. So your exposure, the rate could be as high as 30% as well. Okay, and there's a threshold for exemption that where the disposal is up to 150 million naira, and the profits does not exceed 100 million naira, so you may be exempted. And where the proceeds are reinvested, tax should not apply. Okay, indirect capital gains on indirect tax, indirect transfer. This is a very, very interesting item, and is one of the most concerning issues to foreign investors. What does this indirect transfer is? Let me take my time a little bit, because I always want people to have clarity on these things, because not a lot of people actually have an understanding of what this provision and how poisonous the provision is. So what's it saying? So let's say, for instance, there's a Nigerian company called Babajide Limited. Babajide is owned by Olawale, which is based in UK. Or let me use a practical a real company, so we can easily relate. Okay. Just the way we have Microsoft in Nigeria. Hypothetically, I'm not saying that is what is happening. No. I'm just saying so that we can all relate very well. We have Microsoft in Nigeria. Microsoft in Nigeria, I think, or I believe, it's been owned by Microsoft Inc. in the US. All right. So let's say Microsoft Inc. now have another holding company in the US or in another country. So now, in the situation whereby, let's say Microsoft US dispose of its shares in Microsoft Nigeria, that is a direct disposal. No argument, you pay CGT. But in a situation whereby Microsoft Holdco in the US dispose of its shares in Microsoft Inc. in the US to another entity, either within the group or outside the group, that will be deemed as an indirect transfer of shares. And as a result, that disposal will be subject to tax in Nigeria. Think about it. No disposal was made regarding Microsoft Nigeria. It's at the upper level between Microsoft Holdco in the US and Microsoft Inc. in the US. So that is what the indirect transfer is saying. And we need to keep abreast of that. And we hope that in coming weeks, there will be clarification and maybe there will be some concessions around this. But nothing is certain. But I can assure you, conversations are ongoing. I've talked about harmonization of CGT, CIT slightly while I was talking. Okay, yeah, exemption of oil and gas. So same thing we have for the free trade zones. So the NT also repealed in Section 8 and Section 18 of the OGFTZ, okay, which exempt oil and gas companies in the free trade zones from taxes. So the NT also repealed that. Suspension of and commencement of VAT on certain products. So VAT shall not be collected on petroleum products, renewable energy, blah blah blah, and some sort of energy products. Okay, and the inclusion of deep offshore to the scope of hydrocarbon tax. So before, currently, we don't have deep offshore. Deep offshore companies in the deep offshore, they are not required to pay hydrocarbon tax, but based on the provisions of the NTA, they are now required to do so. Definition of digital asset. So the NTA also captures digital asset that crypto guys come and pay your fair share to the government. All right, and it also covers all forms of digital assets, including NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Okay, and also VASP, that's our virtual asset service providers. They're also required to comply. So there's even a provision for them. Even though personally I feel that's an overlaps, it's not in the place of the tax authority to regulate VASP. Yes, it's not the place. I mean, we have provision for them in the um securities. Was ISA, Investment and Securities Act of 2020, is 2025 or so. There's a provision for them. So it should be ISA that should regulate them, not the NTA regulating VASP and all of that. So, and I think CBN too, they have some slight regulation on them, but not in full and all of that. So, but just to mention, the NTA makes some provisions. So, in essence, platforms like Binance, like Luno, what was it called? Like Bybit, they are meant to now register and comply for tax purposes in Nigeria. All right. This national single window project, I'm not sure it's something that we should really talk about, because I don't really want to dwell too much about it. What is it just saying? In summary, I mean, what does it mean and what does it impact? It only says that general government agencies such as the NCS, that's Nigerian Customs Service, Nigeria Port Authority, and the Standard Organization of Nigeria, and so many others are required to harmonize their data with a single window platform system in such a way that, I mean, for some of us that we work with companies that import products, we have this single window platform for customs, whereby you just plug in the HS code, it shows you the classification of those products, and it shows you the applicable rates and all of that. So that's what they want to do. So at least I'm certain currently on the portal, it will show you the VAT, the applicable VAT, the applicable import duty, and if it will require some verification or not. So all those kind of things. So that's what the government is also moving towards. So next step. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, okay, I got your message. All right. So what is the next step? I mean, to be important. If you are in the corporate settings, it is important that you carry out impact assessment, assess your financials, your operations, and see how these new provisions, see how they affect you. It will be important that you reach out to your consultant. I mean, I can't that cannot be overemphasized. Reach out to your consultant. Let them see your books. Let them see your have an understanding of your operations, and let them see how they can help you ahead of next year. Let your house, let it be in order. If you have not been doing the right thing before, this is a call to action. Do the needful. I think one of the key things that I didn't talk about is the part of presumptive tax, whereby in a situation whereby like you're unable to provide proper documentation, the FRS will do just basically what we have as best of judgment, and they'll slam you that tax and you'll have to pay because there's no documentation. So be big on documentation, try and see what you can do and pay your fair share. I understand the frustration that why should I pay tax? What's the government doing for me? But trust me, I always say it at every speaking engagement. The fact that government is not doing anything for you is I mean can never and will never be the reason why you should not pay tax. Not paying tax is a serious offense and it is a punishable offense. Tax taxes are mandatory. Okay, taxes are mandatory, and that is regardless of what the government is going to do with the money. And that is also a place whereby like who you vote for to manage your resources is very very important. Vote for the right person that will use your resources very well in a manner that you would like, and also call for public accountability. All right, so that would be my submission regarding that. All right, and I'm aware that we also have we also have a platform, a portal whereby you can do a simulation of your income tax for people that are doing 9 to 5, or maybe I mean every individual. You want to know how much your tax should be. So you can visit the website or just type on online, just type and search for what was it called? And tax reforms calculator. I think it should be the first link and you see it. So this will be the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I don't know if there are questions. I would like to attend to a few of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babatunde. We are very, very glad to have had you, interact with us today. Let me just confirm again that I can be heard. Can
Yeah,
everybody hear?
I can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, we had agreed that we'll take questions for 10 minutes, but presently we have 5 minutes to take those questions. And so personally, I would have had a very serious question, but I'll just keep it aside. Let me give opportunity to people who are listening. If you have any question, you can, if it's going to be brief and direct, you can unmute yourself and speak. However, if you prefer to drop it on the chat box, please feel free to. But I can't even see the chat box icon currently. But if you have a question, please feel free to unmute and ask. We just have 5 minutes for that.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
All right, go on.
Yeah, please, quickly, Mr.
Good
Babatunde,
afternoon.
I want some clarification as regards the threshold for the revenue. There is a 50 and 250 assets, and there is 100 and 250 assets. I read it somewhere that the 100 and 250 is speaking about the companies that can charge VAT. That is those that are subject to charging VAT. While the 50 to 50 is talking about those that can get charged for 30% CIT. Please, if you can clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. Can I quickly take that? Okay. So
yes,
yes. So I get your concern. I've also seen it several places online, but I don't share that thought. I don't believe that is the intention. I just believe it's a typographical error. And based on conversations that I've heard, and I've even heard the chairman of the committee himself acknowledging that it's a mistake and needs to be corrected. Do you understand? Because because I mean I don't want to take you into legal and regulatory parts. What is the act that impose all of these taxes? What is the act that imposes all of these taxes? Is the NTA, right? And the NTA has what's it called? And the NTA has the threshold as well too. However, the administration is just for what? It's just for the administration and I mean the compliance of the tax itself. And I mean, I've seen analysis. Let me just try to keep it short. Don't let me go into detailed analysis of this and all of that. But personally, I don't share that view. I just believe it's a typo error and all that because that argument is very difficult to make, even at the court of the law. It's very difficult to make. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, this will be the last question. Okay, go on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. This will be the last question. Go on.
All right, it's not a question that I just want to chip in regarding the question that the last speaker asked about the threshold. Thank you so much, Baba Jide, for the presentation. It has been a very wonderful section. So I think it was an oversight, and the chairman of the committee acknowledged that. So very soon, from a reliable source, I heard that the circular will be issued by the Federal Revenue Service regarding that, and the threshold will likely be 100 million naira. I don't know whether I get the clarification.
All right, thanks so much for that, Gara. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I just have one last question. I feel like this is going to be the question on majority of students' minds, especially people like us who are not, inclined to tax. What should a student, the regular student who is leaving school to, fend for themselves, to look for a job, to apply for something, or maybe has a small business somewhere. But basically, the regular student that does not have 100 million in turnover or 200 billion in turnover, what should they know? What's the posture that a regular student should take as it regards this? What should we do now?
Okay, okay. That's a very brilliant question. Thank you. So, my understanding is that students are not subject to tax. Students, I mean, so far you are like, I mean, maybe 18 downward. I can confidently say you are not of taxable age. However, I know that there are some productive students that they have businesses and all of that. I mean, I'm here to talk about those that are just leaving school. I know of some that are in school and their business are even giving them like millions and all of that. And even for those that are not yet making millions. So what I would just say is that what you need to know is that how is your business? How is it registered? Did you register it as business name or you registered it as a limited liability company? If it is registered in form of a business name, no much panic. That business is not subject to tax. It is you yourself that will be subject to tax. Okay? And maybe because you're a student, you may still be under that sheet that, oh, I'm a student, I'm still collecting spend from home. But if your business is that big, and maybe you have some tangible level of presence and all of that, you may receive assessment from the government that, okay, you do this, you do that. So that's the reason why I will advise you, even though you are doing business and you don't make more than 50K from that business a month, be big on documentation so that even when the authority comes for you, you do what you do the needful. And for those that are just coming out of school and you have business that you're doing, you have gigs that you take online. Trust me, I want to believe you're out of school. You must be like 19, 20 or thereabouts. You're of taxable age. That money you are making from those gigs, they are taxable income. So all these things that I've said are relating to individuals, they're applicable to you. Okay, so get in place your documentation, do the right thing, register for tax. Okay, and at the end of the year, so you check, do you have up to 800,000 naira taxable income? If you hit that threshold, do your filings and all of that. And the whole thing is seamless now. Right away, as we are talking, if you want to register on LIRS portal, that's if you're in Lagos State Internal Revenue, ASAP now, you register and you have your TIN. It's very, very easy and smooth. Okay, and if you need guidance on that, it's a thing you can file yourself. If you need guidance on how to file, just have a friend that is in tax and we help you, or just go to YouTube. I know some folks that they've done some recordings explaining how you can file your returns individually on the portal, and you just do it by yourself. So it's not something that is so big or that's so serious. And if you happen to register your business as a limited liability company, watch out for this revenue threshold. Once you hit them, I mean, I don't want to undermine that. Oh, students, I don't expect you to hit 100 million. We never can tell. There are small guys doing great things out there. So once you know that you hit that threshold, do the needful. As a matter of fact, once your business hits a million, you know that you make a million every year. Have a consultant as a friend. Even if you don't have money to pay a consultant yet, have a consultant as friend. You can always call that. I beg, what do you think about this thing and all of that? Do you understand? I'm not saying that you should abuse your relationship with your friend that is a consultant. Do you understand? But I mean, I'm sure the person will be interested to help you and see you grow as well. That would be my take.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be running. We are very, behind time, and it's a Saturday afternoon, so we need to run. To specialists that will be giving us topic that we're talking about finance. Help me welcome Oyi Damola Adele, a technical specialist, Dangote Industries. Um, Oyi Damola Adele. I hope I'm not murdering these names. Please, if your hands are not busy, put your hands together for her as she joins us. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, thank you so much for the invite. Please, can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I just want to show my face for now. I'll be going off just to put a face to the name. Thank you, Mr. Solomon, for inviting me, and thank you, BBM, for that wonderful presentation. We can never get enough of these tax webinars because every day we keep hearing new things, right? So it's better to get equipped. So I want to confirm if Mr. Solomon will be helping me share my screen because I've already set my slides ahead. I think I'll prefer if he helps me to share it because, yeah? Yeah?
Okay, all right. So do you want us to share it from?
Yes, please. Kindly help me share because I was already working with that.
Oh, okay, no, that's
Okay. As much as I would have loved to keep my video on for this, let me just put it off, then start working. Okay, so yeah. So today my topic centers on accounting in action, turning theory into practice. And I'm so happy I joined at the very beginning when Mr. Solomon was talking about his vision and mission for legacy, ledgers to legacy. And I was like, wow, this is a very passionate man. This is somebody that is passionate about accounting. So that's the way most of us too started before work demand started, like do webinars, like just do things that will help your fellow professional colleagues. And I'm really happy he's spearheading this initiative, right? So one of the things he said that really stood out for me, I was not like, did he go through my slides? So I'm trying to keep track of my time. This is 12:23. Let's say I started 12:20. I have 30 minutes to present. So by 12:50, I should be wrapping up. Yeah. So as I was saying, like, was it going through my slide where he was talking about accountants moving from just being an accountant to business partners, right? I would get into that. I'll get into that. So my topic today is turning theory into practice, accounting in action. Yeah. So when we hear about accounting, please, next slide. Thank you. Can you help me put it in presentation mode? Okay, let's just make do with what we have. What comes to your mind when you think about the word accounting, right? And I know that we have a lot of I don't want to call them young accountants, I'll call them young finance professionals because accounting is a bit limited, right? What comes to our mind when we hear the word accounting? Most times we think about debit, credit. We're always thinking about accounting standards, ledgers, like what this initiative is about, ledgers. But beyond numbers, financial statements, accounting is way more than that now. Accounting is more than theory in a textbook. It's more than the theory we do in classes. So I want to assume that we have in the audience, we have like young graduates or even undergraduates and young professionals, right? And I know it can be hard transitioning from all the things you've learned in school to where you are currently in practice. That's if you are currently working or you're about to enter the job market, right? So as I was saying, when people hear the word accounting, they think of debit and credit. And when Mr. Solomon was talking, you think of a banker in suits when you hear of accounting. But accounting is way more than that. Accounting is a practical tool for decision making. It helps for accountability. It helps to build trust because if you don't have your books together, if you don't have your financial statements, you don't have it. That means you don't have a track record. Okay, we've been doing business, but we don't have evidence of business. So what accounting help you does is accounting prepares a report card of your business. Yeah. And as the accountant, you're the one that prepared this report card for the business. So don't just see yourself as somebody just doing the debit and the credit, but see yourself as a strategic business partner. See yourself as a person that is providing an avenue for management to make decision. See yourself as part of the decision makers because it is you that will feed in this information that this management executive will use to make decision, right? So we'll be moving from classroom to theory. I have like 5 case study I want to discuss, but before we get there, I'll just quickly do an overrun of my speaking notes. So in school, we learn about accounting standards, IFRS concepts, financial reporting frameworks, rules, and everything. Most of us have done trial balance, sales ledger. So the thing is, don't let anybody tell you, as an accountant, a finance person, as an accountant, don't let anybody tell you that what you'll be doing in school is different from what you meet in real world. It's not different. What you are doing now in school, except maybe you are venturing out of finance, you're venturing out of accounting. What you'll be doing in school is still the same thing that you'll be doing, because this is the form foundation for you. And if you joined when Mr. Solomon was talking, he was talking about these professional certifications. I can also further solidify your knowledge in accounting, because it's as if you still keep doing the same thing. Like for me, I did AAT in school. So AAT for me was just like a repetition of everything I was doing in 100 level, 200 level, 300 level. So the more I kept reading, the more I kept doing all this professional certification, the more it kept solidifying my foundations in accounting, the more it kept helping me to ground myself. So the place of continuous learning in the finance world cannot be overemphasized. I saw a post of somebody recently on WhatsApp status, and HR was saying, you finance people, you're always taking one exam or the other, you're never tired. Yes, because most times we start from ICANN, AAT, we move to CFA. We shall have one exam that we keep doing, right? For some of us, we'll go and do MSc. For some of us, we'll go and do MBA, right? So you keep skilling, apart from even all this professional certification too. Like you go on YouTube, when BBM was saying that we should go on YouTube, there are people that have already done different things about tax. So if you want to embed yourself with all this knowledge, it's not far from you. There are many coaches on Instagram, many coaches on YouTube that have talked about this tax thing, accounting. So everything you need, we have that information overload now that you can learn anything you want to learn. So like I was saying, what you're learning now in school is not scam. School is not scam, right? What you've learned in school is not scam. It's not different. The only thing is just the manner of approach. Rather than doing it on paper, now we are doing it on softwares. So that's just the difference. And maybe for people that don't know how to use all these accounting softwares, people that don't know how to use Excel and everything, that's why you say school is scam. Like they didn't teach you that thing. But it is a responsibility on yourself for you to learn all these things. Don't wait for your lecturers to teach you, because some of these your lecturers too, they don't even have real world practical experience, right? So you that you're now in the finance world, right? You need to now put in place structures to ensure that you keep continually learning. Apart from your professional certification, are you upskilling yourself? Are you learning how to use Excel, financial models, and things that are relevant to your line of accounting? So accounting is even a sub part of finance, because finance is the overall body, right? Finance embeds everything. Accounting also helps. Accounting talks about the past. Finance talks about the future. So you even need to know that accounting and finance, there's a difference. And when people ask you, you'll not be muttering. So you should be grounded in your field of study. So outside your accounting standard, your IFRS concept that you're learning in school, your ledgers, your financial reporting that your lecturers are teaching you or that you've learned in school, all the rules and everything, all these things are just meant to give you structure. They are meant to help you to be consistent. They are meant to help us have like a common knowledge. So that's why you can see an accountant that learned that was undergoing a BSc program in Lautech, and an accountant that is undergoing a BSc program to uni. Like it's the same thing they are teaching them. Though just slight difference, but the basics is still the same. So the main thing is just for us to have a universal accounting language. You also notice, apart in countries that are using the same IFRS and IS that we do, like this the same IFRS and IS so that you see worldwide. So these things are not different. Don't let anybody tell you that school is not scam. School is preparing you for the world, and you too, you have a responsibility on yourself to help you. So I'll be going on that. Theory alone does not help you to prepare theory alone does not prepare you for practice. In the workplace, you know your boss will just come and meet you. There's a deadline, we need to prepare this report, there's pressure, there's a lot of things that you don't even have the complete. If you are now on let me just say, fortunately for you, if you find yourself in a one-man business, you don't even have complete information to start with. Because I remember the example that Mr. Solomon gave at the beginning, where he was saying that he entered a new enterprise and they were cooking books in the production reports and all those kind of things, right? These are the things you face. Nothing is perfect. So what they are teaching you in theory is perfection. But when you get to the real world is chaos. Some days you'll be sleeping back at the office by 9. Some days you're in the office by 7 p.m. because you want to close the book. That's month-end closing on the 31st. You see accountants sleeping in the office, staying back, drinking coffee back to back and all. So these are the things you meet, like beyond what your lecturers have taught you, beyond what you've known. Those things help you. The school is not scam. Like I keep saying, accounting that you've done in your background, your finance background, is not a scam. These things set the foundation for your future, because if your foundation is not strong, you cannot be you cannot be an expert finance professional, right? Like you hear when ICANN is allowing people that are outside accounting to come and do ICANN. These people need this foundation, because it's also because they don't know anything about accounting, they don't know anything about finance. But when they come and take ICANN, it builds their knowledge, it gives them that foundation to be able to now go and do something better. Yeah. Like I was saying, you just need this knowledge as your background. Then how do we turn our IFRS, IAS from theory into practice? Those are the case studies that I'll be discussing over. Okay, yes, those are the case study I'll be discussing over the next 10 minutes. But before I get there, so how do you bridge the gap between your classroom knowledge and your workplace knowledge? So one of the things that affects young professionals, so in this case, young finance professional, is the shock of transitioning from school to work. So in practice, like in school, your lecturer will give you all the information you need. You work with real data. You work with, he'll give you everything. But in real life, you work with real data. He will not give you complete information. Sometimes your sales books are not complete, your purchase records are not complete, production team will even mess you up. Those ones are even the baba of that, right? Then you collaborate with non-finance team. So how do you explain a finance term to a non-finance person? So those are the things you meet in the real world. How will you explain numbers to people that don't speak accounting? So it's just like explaining Chinese to a white man. That's how it is, right? So to bridge this gap, you need to learn Excel, you need to learn accounting systems early, softwares, how AI is influencing our industry, how AI is influencing our profession. You need to practice how to interpret financial statements, how to analyze them. You're not just preparing them. So is this that moves you from an accountant to a business partner? This moves you from being a cost center. So your boss is not just seeing you as something he's spending money on, but he's seeing you as an investment. Like, it's not seeing you as a cost center that you are costing me money, but you're providing value for me. Because if you can prepare your report, you can analyze them and interpret them that, sir, this is what it means for us. This is what our sales number is interpreting. Next quarter, we can do this. Previous quarter, this is what we've done. So you can interpret those numbers for them. So they're not just seeing you as a cost center, but they are seeing you as a value adding person, right? Then also you need to understand the business you find yourself in, the industry you find yourself in. If you're in manufacturing, if you're in food, you need to understand the business first before you even start saying you want to prepare books, right? So you need to understand what your industry is. So when you even see some transactions, you know how to treat it, because you need that underlying understanding of those business to be able to interpret the numbers, to do your analysis and all. So that now makes you become so powerful that you now become a finance business partner. I don't know if we've heard that word before. So for you to, one of the issues that most finance professionals find themselves struggling with in the workplace is how to interpret all these numbers or explain these things to a non-finance professional. So I want to recommend a book to Mr. Solomon and his his community. It's called Financial Intelligence. If you as an accountant, if you have very sound knowledge, when you are reading that book, it just cements what you already know. But if you are still trying to brush up your knowledge, it will help you as a finance person to understand why this is so, right? It will help you understand and even explain to others, because you meet the marketing department, you meet the sales department, you meet corporate comms, you meet different people, you meet people in production, on the plant floors, different. So how do you explain these numbers to them? Because you cannot be using accounting terms for them, right? So this book will help you. The book is Financial Intelligence. I'll be sharing the ebook, the soft copy, with Mr. Solomon, so you can get it across to everybody. So we'll be moving to the case study now. Like now, you've learned IFRS, you've learned IAS, your lecturers have taught you IAS and IFRS in school. So what does this mean for you as a finance professional? What does this mean for you? I'm watching time. Okay, I have 14 minutes more, but I would like to wrap up before then. So for instance, now let's take IFRS 15 as an example, revenue from contract with customers. A company, the scenario we have here is that a company signs a 50 million contract to deliver equipment and provide maintenance for 1 year. Then the customer pays upfront. For instance, somebody that is just coming from the classroom just like that or coming from theory. We just see that money has been received, so we record revenue immediately. And in accounting, we have two forms of recording our transaction. We have cash basis and accrual basis. So if you are doing cash basis, right, you can do this, like just see it as money received and you record your revenue like that. But if you are doing accrual, the accrual, all these things, like, they are interwoven. So accrual basis even lines up to enter IFRS 15 because revenue must only be recognized when the performance obligations are satisfied. And what does accrual basis say? Accrual basis is not saying that you record it when cash is received and when you've expensed it, but what does it relate to the period in question? You must recognize your expense and revenue in the period that it relates to, not because you receive cash or you spend money. So IFRS 15 is saying that you must recognize when performance obligations are satisfied. So the 5 steps to the IFRS 15 model. You go and read more about that. Today is just to give us an idea of how we can move from theory to practice. So you not just recognize this revenue as because cash is received, but you need to divide them into when you perform this obligation. So maybe you only did 10 you only perform 10 million out of 10 million worth of the project. Out of this, you only deliver 10 million out of this equipment. You only recognize 10 million in your books, not the 50 million, because you are still owing your customer 40 million, right? So those are the things that will now start coming into play when you start seeing the practicality of all these things. So in practice, what you do is you recognize the revenue when the equipment is delivered, and the maintenance when, like, in the period it is used for. Do you understand? So you don't just base on figure, but what is the economic substance? What's the substance of that transaction in the period? So that's why we have our financial statement of profit or loss always said for the year ended, right? That means for the period ended, and we do it month on month. So it can be for February, January, February, March, April, May, June. Then at the end of the year, 31st of December, that's if your accounting year ends 31st of December, then you do year ended. You now cumulate everything that happened from January to December for the year ended. So your POL is for a period, but balance sheet is as at. So where are we at this point? POL is for the period. Okay, this is what happened in the period. This is what happened, but the name is statement of profit and loss or statement of performance. How did we perform in this period? But statement of financial position, that's your balance sheet, is what is our position? Where are we now currently? But your SOPL is saying that how did we perform? So when you're preparing that, those should always be at the back of your mind. Okay, how did we perform this year? And you should know what your management want from you, what your key decision makers want for you. Do they want you to, because some management executive prefer to see balance sheets, that's SOFP rather than SOPL. Some prefer to see SOPL. So know what they want. Sometimes it's better when you're even employed as an accountant, go and meet these key decision makers, your CEO, talk to them. What is my KPI? What do you want me to do? So it helps you to align to their mission and their vision. So I'll be moving to the next one, IS 16, property, plants, and equipment. So this is, I think somebody is unmuted. Okay. So a scenario now, IS 16 PPE. A company spent 8 million repairing a production machine. So in the classroom now, I think because this 8 million is a big amount, you should capitalize it. But there's something we call what's your capitalization threshold in that company? Maybe for every 5 million we spend, you should capitalize. Capitalize means you should add it to the cost of the assets, right? So you need to understand those things. What does the policy say? That's when you now start asking questions. What is our accounting policy? What is our finance policy? What does the book say? And for some companies, this 8 million service may be a petty cash item, something that you can just expend, like it's just small. So that's why I say you need to understand your industry, you need to understand your company, the dynamics that are working within it. Ask questions, keep asking questions. Don't let them say your own is too much. Because if you don't ask these questions, when you now present this report to your management, you get there, then you are looking like a fool because you've not asked the right questions. So one of the things that, before I digress, so what the real life application will now be, does this expenditure extend the useful life or improve the performance of the assets? So if it does, if it meets the criteria for capitalization, you capitalize it. And if it's in line with so sometimes it can even meet the definition of capitalization under IS 16, but your company's policy will say expend it. Don't capitalize. 8 million is not something we can be capitalizing. Expend it. Put it in under expenses as repairs and maintenance. So you are good with it. You expend it because that's what your company policy says, right? So apart from, so that's where you now need to start knowing the dichotomy between your the dynamics of the workings of IS 16, what your company requires you to do, and all those kind of things. Then we move on. So accounting is not about the size of the money, but the nature of the transaction. So you need to understand the nature of the transaction. I'll be moving to the third case study, which is ethics. So for instance, now your company has not made, I think I'll be stopping here because of time. Okay, I'll just quickly wrap up. Case study 3, ethics under pressure, adjust the numbers. Now we're already nearing year end, like the way we are. The management is asking accountant to push some expenses into next year profits so that profits can look better. So you as an accountant, what do you do? Your job is on the line, because this is they're actually telling you to cook the books, right? So classroom thinking would be like, it's management's decision. And I like something that Mr. Solomon said at the beginning, where he was talking about even if you don't participate, like let's say they were doing something evil or something bad in the company, but because you say you didn't participate, you're not part of it. No, because you didn't speak out as a then, you're also part of the evil, right? So as I was saying, now what do you do as a professional? So this is where they are questioning your professionalism. Okay, so it violates the matching principle, it violates faithful representation, because these expenses have been, like I was talking about the period, you should always recognize your expense in the period it was accrued. That's what accrual basis is talking about. Do you understand? So now they're not telling you to push 2025's profit into 2026 so that 2025 profit can look good. So as a professional, what will you do? And if you remember, for those of us that have done ICANN in audits, there are 5 core characteristics of a professional accountant. Number 1 is integrity, and that's the motto of ICANN: accuracy and integrity. So they are calling your integrity to question here, right? Are you objective here? So we have 5: integrity, objectivity, professional competence, and UK. They're even calling your professional competence to question. We have confidentiality, professional behavior. So I will link this to my next slide of number 4. Oh, sorry, to number 4, where, okay, not to number 4, but let me just quickly talk about it. And you can see on number 3. So now they are in this situation, send mails. Just send, but you do it with discretion, right? But let there be evidence. So when it can be a criminal offense, they will now start calling police to investigate and all those kind of things. Make sure there's documentation. Don't depend on word of mouth. They said the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory, because some people will lie. People lie in corporates. People lie. See, your managers lie when they're under pressure, that they know that there's repercussion. Your managers will lie. Things you told them, like everybody's looking at you. I've had scenarios at the office where you'll be surprised that, wow, I had this conversation with you and I had people around me, but when you got to the senior management, you went to lie that you didn't say so. So document it. Even if the person does not respond, oh, dear so as discussed on so date, can you find the update to this? This is what I'm doing. Document it, so that when the issues will come and these pressures are coming, because sometimes when you cannot even overcome these pressures, that that it is looking like you should succumb, the best thing will be for you to like exit the firm. Because what's the essence of you trying to so sorry about that. What's the essence of you trying to be on the good side of your management, then you end up in prison, and your professional certification is just useless because you were trying to do when there are other companies outside there that can value you for what you are bringing to the table. Then this one is telling you to question your professional competence. This one is telling you to question your integrity, which is the major asset you have as an accountant. Because that's why most people trust us, that they know that we have integrity. We cannot cook the books or do any other thing. So once this kind of thing happen, in a way to document it, you explain the implications of what they're asking you to do. You document your position. You stand by professional ethics, because your integrity in the long run is worth more than a short-term performance target, because they want to meet targets. Then if the board now finds out that this is what you guys did in the finance department, then they now arrest everybody. Even if it does not get to a point of arresting everybody, your values are already eroding. Your conscience is already dying. with that. So just be like, if you've done it once, you can always do it again. Do you understand? So let's not get to the issue where we don't even have that thing that is always checking us that, oh, don't do this. Then the next one is explaining numbers to non-accountants. That's why I recommended that book of financial intelligence, where you'll be able to know how this thing works. So you can see in a situation where they are presenting numbers to you, or where you are telling marketing that you cannot expend this money, it's not in the budget. Marketing is telling that what's budget, they don't understand. We also want to make money for the company, are saying it's not in the budget. So you need to start explaining the implications of these things. If you spend more than your budget, this is what will happen. You now have money for the next month, you now have money to carry out your other Q4 expenses. So you need to explain all these things, like all these accounting big terms. Like, for instance, somebody in sales now that is going to do credit sales, though they are also recognizing it as their KPI, right? We need to start telling them that we need money. You cannot just be recording sales that you guys are making sales, but we're not seeing the money. Or a situation whereby profit is high and your cash is low, and the CEO, let's say you work in a one-man business, is asking what's going on. We are making profit, there's no cash in bank. You know that's as a result of things that are non-cash expense, like depreciation, receivables, and all those things that tie cash down. So you need to know how to explain these things to them in real life, right? In practice. So this is in this situation when you can explain these things to them that you become a business partner. So you're not just reporting numbers, but how does these numbers affect them? How does this number make our company? Are you just sitting down pressing your laptop? And this is even a situation whereby you can also network with people too, like going to meet them, talk to them, explain things simply to them. Not just be the accountant that stays behind their laptop that does not interact with people. When people call you, clarify things to them, be warm, be receptive. I know that we as accountants we move past that, but for people that have not been exposed to that level, you need to what's the word? You need to interact with people. Your network is your network. You don't know where the next person is going on. Just say, I have one accountant that is very good. He used to explain something for me. And he just said, we're looking for an accountant in the place that the guy has gone. Let's say somebody in marketing went to a new company. I'll be like, there's one accountant that used to explain things for me very well. Once he comes here, will be a value-adding person. He will solve problems. Like, no matter the problem you bring to him, he can solve it. So those little things go a long way. Do you understand? Like, don't just be the accountant that crunch numbers. I know we don't have that time, but just take 5 minutes, even if it's just to say hi or smile at somebody, or when somebody comes to meet you. I know you have a deadline, but it's just managing your time wisely and managing your stakeholders too properly, right? So explain these things to people that don't have your accounting background. Then so I think we can always read up on the material. This is my 30 minutes mark. I'm on my 29th minute. So you can just quickly go through slide 5 and read what is there. So just having this practical application to the things we've learned in school. School is not scam. What you've learned, except maybe you as an accountant, you want to now go into what's the word? You want to go into maybe something different like tech. You want to go into something way different. That's when you say that school is scam for you. But it's not even scam, because there's a way a learned and educated person will carry out something that they will know that you've been exposed to school. Do you get? Rather than the way somebody that have never been to the 4 walls of school do it. So thank you so much for having me. I'll take my questions now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Miss Oyedamola. We're so grateful to have you this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It started from a very condensed, concentrated conversation that was extremely complex. Yeah, and your speech kind of brought the practicability, the hands-on approach to it for people who are already there. I mean, you now find yourself in this space, even if school is scam, you are now in this scam. And so this is it, this is you, and this is life. And so
Yeah.
we really like how the conversation has gone, and it goes a long way to show, how much Mr. Solomon has put into putting together the best sort of speakers. I'm a public speaker, and I really, really recognize when message has been passed, and not just that someone has spoken. I really learned a lot, even though I'm not in the finance space. Personally, I've learned so much, and it applies everywhere. Work ethics apply everywhere, even beyond the finance space or the accountancy space. Even as medical professionals, we are taught to still interact well, establish rapport with patients, because you don't know where they refer you, you don't know who they refer you to. So thank you very much for that very much more practical conversation, and this really opens a lot of doors to us. However, we still are very limited on time, so I'll take two questions as usual. So please, if you have a question, unmute yourself and speak. We have a 5 minutes window also for this session. Please, let's do this as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Any
Good
question?
afternoon.
All right,
Yes, good
Thank you
Basira,
so much,
go on.
Ms. Bukola. This was so profound. I
Sorry,
don't know if we
Zoinda.
have the time. For the practical parts, when you were trying to explain the IFRS 15, that's the revenue recognition of that.
Yeah.
It kind of get complex when you mention that if you receive 50,000, how do you measure? Let's say you've done 10% out of it, or like you are to recognize 10 million
10%.
presently for the
Okay.
period that. How do you measure that?
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Basirat. So the name is Oinda, right? No Bukola.
I'm so
Thank you.
sorry, Yoindamola.
Yes,
Sorry.
fine. Yeah. So like for instance, if each machine we said 50 million, and you want to deliver 50 machines, so that's one machine costs 1 million. So if you've delivered like 10 machine, that means you've already done 20% of that. That's you've done 10 million out of the 50 million. Is when it comes to service that is a bit dicey, when you cannot
Yeah,
put a
I am
number.
actually
Yeah.
asking for service, please.
Services, okay.
Yeah.
So there's this thing we call like project completion rate. So they'll say once we've done 20%, you pay us so amount. Once we've done 30%, you pay us so amount. It depends on what is on your letter of engagement, right? So you go back to the letter of engagement. So at 20%, what should we have covered? So let me use audit as an example. Maybe at 20%, before we pay you 20% of the money, you should have come and check review our supporting documents, reviewed our records and everything. Maybe at 30%, 30% would be the next 30% will now be, okay, you should have done like a draft, maybe interim audit. Then at the next 30% again, so we're already at 70% now, you should have done a draft financial statement. Then the final 30%, you should have given us the completed financial statement. So it's based on your letter of engagement. And they always put a fee to it. I don't know if you've come across any letter of engagement. They always put a fee to it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
can I add quickly? So yes, for our ICA, I think we call it contract something, I can't remember now. But
okay.
ICA. So at the beginning, it's usually at the signing of the contracts, they pay say 20 million. Then in 2-3 weeks, if we have certified this work done, then another 30%. So that way, if the money comes in that way, it is okay to recognize it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. So when you not even receive money in advance, you have to now put it in like a contract liability account where you've not delivered that service. So let's say you've already done 50% of the work, you've done that part, then the remaining 50%, now your client pays 100%. You now have to put in the accounting into practice, because you cannot recognize all the revenue because you've not done the entire service. Right. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Wow,
Yes,
thank you
good
very
afternoon.
much. Let's
Yeah.
just also take note that, okay, I hear you. I hear the person who wants to ask a question. Let's just take note that this slide will be circulated. So just in case you don't get an opportunity to ask, you would still get to look through and take home some of the action points they are giving you. Conferences can never expose everything, but they are saying things like watch the social video, look up social conversation, read social book. These are the ways that they have also run. So you can also do it yourself. But yeah, we'll take one last question.
Okay, so good afternoon. Before I ask my question, I would like to say a big thank you to Ms. Ogulano, Mr. Babatunde, Mr. Solomon, and most especially Senator D for bringing this program. So my question, I would like to put it like a scenario. So about the part in which you said that one of the key quality of an accountant is being honest. Yes, that is very true. But then there's this question, I just want to put it in a scenario. If like someone is an auditor, so like you are auditing a firm and then you pointed out one mistake or one error that they made, that they made, like they just wanted to use it to steal the money. But then you were being taken that if you say anything about what happened, that you notice anything in the account, that you'll be killed or your family will be killed. Like, I just want to ask, what is the best
Yeah.
thing the person to do about that? In which the person must be
Okay.
honest about this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for this wonderful question. So we've there's a scenario. So one thing is I've asked this question in my audit class before. So they told me that the job of an auditor is not to find out fraud, right? It's just to find out financial misstatements. So there's a clause that prevents auditors before from this kind of things. Even when you see it, and you can notify the you cannot okay that you cannot even notify anybody. There's a clause that covers it, but there's this new thing that FRCN has done that's implicated auditors and they've signed it. So you just have to disclose it. So you may not necessarily even now disclose it. First and foremost, if you are working with an audit firm, you need to tell your partners and let them be the one to undo it, right? Because most times, in practice, they'll say report to the police, do this, but in real life, it's called stakeholder management. I'm not saying you should lie or not disclose things. This is where their internal auditor and internal control in their own company should have picked it. It's not your responsibility as an auditor. So it's not for you to flag, right? It's the work of their internal auditor. But when it now comes along the line of the audits, you found out. So what you can do is let your partner know, document it so that when issues will come in the future, they can find it. I know there can be situations where it will be over on you to what's the word, to like disclose. Just talk to a senior person. And if you are the senior person, you trust God for what you do, right? Because in practice, a lot of things happen. Like even in the banking industry, there are a lot of scam, but everybody is just closing their eyes and moving on like nothing is happening, because you cannot be though we always champion for people to be the one to make change, but what if you are the only one in the midst of 100 people that are doing all these things? So if you come outside and people just at the end, maybe it's killing your career or killing you. So sometimes the best thing is just to like walk away. And in cases where you cannot walk away, report to a senior person, and the person might need to even take it up with their internal auditors, like maybe the general manager or the group head of internal audit, because that's their role. And the group head of internal audit does not report to the company, they report to the board directly. So those ones will know how to do it in that instance. So in that instance, you can just document it, notify the person that you know that will, the group head of internal audit. And in that situation, so you need to be ensure that the structure is not also, I'm looking for the word, it has not been compromised. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. So just move with your gut, trust God, trust the leading of God, so that you don't just jump into fire, because these things are not, there's no yes or no answer to it. I don't know if you understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Yes, so thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We've come to the very end of your session, and it's been
Thank you.
such a beautiful time. Thank you, Miss Oyedamola,
Thank
for
you.
the hands-on conversation and the tips and even the live coaching that you've done, briefly. We're very, very grateful for those. We're going to travel, with the speed of
Thank you
light,
so
but
much. Thank you. Thank you.
you're
All right. Take care.
welcome.
Please, I'll be going off the call. Yeah, I'll be going off. Thank
Thank you
you.
for showing us your face at some point. God bless.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Uh, all right. Okay. So we'll be traveling with the speed of light, but as comprehensive as possible. We want to bring up Mr. Abarolua Omi with that. Look, you people cannot blame me, sir. Please, next time, Mr. Solomon, help us with Igbo, help us with Igbo speakers so that I don't murder their names. But I think I can just go with the first name, right? Mr. Abarolua Omidiran Daniel, please take it away. 30 minutes, and we ask you questions and we close. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. I believe you can all hear me.
Yes, you're heard. You're
And
heard.
Mr. Divine, thank you for that pronunciation of my name, but it's all right.
Forgive me, forgive me.
It's all right. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak here. I want to thank the lead visionary, Mr. Solomon Adebayo, my friend and brother. And then I also thank you, the moderator, for the privilege to bring a health perspective to a conference where numbers, strategy, and long-term value are usually the main things, isn't it? So it's a profound one, and I think this, if this is not the first of its kind, it is not a common thing we see in business finance meetings like this. So I really commend that. So permit me to share my slide, please. Okay, just give me a few minutes. Just okay, I'm about to. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, sir. We can say thank you.
Okay. All right,
Yes,
that's wonderful.
okay.
Okay, so today I am here wearing the hat of a registered nurse, but speaking directly into your world as accountants, finance experts, and business leaders. Because behind every balance sheet, behind every projection, behind every professional milestone is you. And I believe this is no news. And if you are not physically, mentally, and emotionally balanced or stable, every other aspect of your life, it's definitely going to depreciate. And I will start by saying that most of the things that I may be discussing with us today, the knowledge I'll be passing out may not necessarily be what you are not aware of before, what you've not heard before. But I think that the beauty of knowledge, or what actually defines that we have acquired a knowledge, is when action follows it. Are we together now? Is that when action follows your knowledge. So um, for example, you are most likely to be, since we are talking about health, you are most likely to have been hearing stuff like, oh, be hydrated and be this, isn't it? And these are things that we hear very often. And it's shocking that as much as we hear these things, if just a few of us put it into action. But I trust that um after this session we will not only be able to say that we have the knowledge, but we will also be able to come into practical terms of it. So my first slide. Okay, so I believe you can all still see my slide, right?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We can see
Okay.
us.
Good. Okay, so the first thing I have here is why health matters. Why health matters. And professionals thrive when their bodies and minds thrive. And the thing is, you have to understand that your health is your first capital. Of course, like we said before, business experts, one of the major things uh that you think of capital in your heart are not, I'm really taking another dimension to this. Most of the times when we talk about capital, you're always thinking of financial capital like cash, savings, loans, grants, funding, and all, physical capitals and stuff. But the truth is that your health is your first capital, because without this, productivity, clarity, and creativity cannot be done properly. So your productivity, creativity, and clarity depends on your wellness. There is no success. No success is sustainable without good health. So the first thing I want you to take note of in this session is that your health is your number one capital. There is nothing that we can be discussing here today as beautiful as, and I'm sorry, I want to appreciate every other speaker that has spoken earlier. As beautiful as everything that is said has been said, you cannot maximally carry out your work with the kind of accuracy, productivity you want, so without first paying attention to your health. And you know what they say? They say health is wealth, isn't it? So my next slide. So the reality of corporate life, um, you know, I was discussing with my friend and brother, Mr. Solomon Adebayo, during, I think that was last week, and then It was in the night. We had a call, and he mentioned to me that he had been in a meeting from about 8 a.m. in the morning till that time, until around that time when we were speaking, and it was around past 8. And that was already about 12 hours. Now, there are realities that are common to your experience. So, common stressors for accountants, professionals, financial experts. What are the major things? You have to be on the screen for a long time. I mean, even joining this meeting is a proof of you having to face your screen, isn't it? Tight deadlines and pressure accuracies, decision fatigue, sedentary lifestyle, poor sleeping patterns. And the worst part of this is that these things often lead to fatigue, burnout, hypertension, migraines, back pain. And I will share a little story with us. I remember there's this time whereby I, being a medical practitioner, I am open to a lot of research work. And so there's this time I got into a lot of research, and I was always on my screen. And it got so terrible that at some point I started having eye issues because I had to be facing the screen every time. And the thing about these health challenges is that they are kind of synced together. So it started with an eye problem, and it led to migraines, and in some cases it leads to hypertension. And I can assure you that hypertension is even one of the most alarming thing now in the hospital today. I mean, this thing called hypertension, because normally in few years back, hypertension isn't a very common thing amidst young people. And I believe, a large percentage of us on this meeting today, we are still very young people, and it has now become a very common thing. You will see children and or young youths of 19, 16, thereabout, being hypertensive, and it is absolutely weird. It is absolutely weird. Even somebody of my age, and I'm in my 20s already, it is even still weird for me to be hypertensive. But I feel like one of the things that causes this thing, I think, is also this hustling syndrome in our country, where so everybody wants to, work on one thing or the other, and it's kind of, funny, and at the same time not funny, because it is not a good thing. All right. So even young people, and these are the kind of things that can predispose us. And note my word, I use the word predispose. You don't have to end up having some of these outcomes around your life. It can only predispose you if you don't plan yourself rightly. So that's one. Let me move to my next slide because of time. I've been trying to look at my time. Okay. Your body has its own ledger. And you see, if you look at my slide here, you can see some of the things I have here. Sleep equals to investment, nutrition equals to capital, exercise equals to compound debt interest, stress, liability, self-care, equity. Let me just talk a little bit about sleep. And I like to share a lot of story about myself to just bring perspective to this. And you see, as a medical practitioner, we often tell others that, medics, that, oh, you need to sleep 8 hours. You need to ensure that you sleep nothing less than 8 hours a day. But if I'll be real with you, I barely have that amount of time. But when I can, I ensure to get it. And the thing is this, we all understand that we are in Nigeria, and everybody is just trying to add a lot of work, do all sorts of things, and that can limit your sleep. But I want to bring to you that sleeping is actually a part of your investment into that work you are doing. So there was a time I used to have the idea when I was a student. I had the idea that you know, if you are sleeping in the afternoon or you are sleeping in the morning, that you are wrong. I don't know why I had that. It was subconscious. I just had the perspective that you cannot be sleeping in the afternoon. And it was the same way I handled other people too. And it was not good actually. I just had the wrong perspective that if you are sleeping in the afternoon, you are just wrong. You are just wrong. Which is not so, because the sleeping is a part, and mind you, I'm not saying you should be slothful, all right? But you know, over time, I began to realize that me sleeping at this time, there's a way it revitalizes me. And you know, being a medical practitioner, there are times when I was in nursing school, I remember there are times that I would have no choice to like cover 2,000 pages, and without exaggeration, I might have to cover sometimes about 2,000 pages in 2 days, 3 days. And the worst part is you might not even know where the question is going to come from. And you can see the pressure. So you have to, it's not like you just have to glance through the 2,000 pages. You have to know what you are doing. All right. And, you know, I realized that some of those times I would put myself in a lot of pressure, trying to, oh, I have to cover a lot. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to cover this. But I realized that some of those times, if I give myself just 15 minutes break, probably resting, 30 minutes nap, taking a nap for about 30 minutes, it can make a major difference in what you are doing. But mind you, you might be thinking, no, I must not be seen sleeping like this. I have to be working. And nobody was even telling me this. I just had the terrible mindset subconsciously. And I know that deep down, I am speaking to somebody, at least one person in this meeting today, that this kind of resonates with you. All right. And I think I've said a lot about sleeping, nutrition too. I said it earlier, it's a major capital, nutrition. So, you know, a lot of business experts, most of you all don't have the time to, like, you know, you're just on your system working, doing one thing or the other, joining meetings. And I realize many of the times, most people just, you know, feed on junks, eat things that are not very relevant. Am I right? I can see Mr. Solomon smiling already. It looks like I am spotting somebody out. And you know, just, you know, people just feed on things that are not. And to make it worse, I noticed that people just, you know, take a lot of drinks, and these things are good, but it requires a balance. And let me share an experience. You know, there was a time I was posted at the male medical ward at the hospital I was working. And in the male medical ward, I think I had about 12 patients in the hospital then. And you know, the worst thing is that I missed these 12 patients. About 9 of them are diabetic patients. And that's very tragic. About 9, I missed 12 patients. 9 of them are diabetic patients. And imagine, all of these are a pointer to the fact that something is wrong. And what are the major things that, you know, leads to a person being diabetic? Usually it's the nutrition, what you feed on. So many people are like, oh, I've been working, all I just need now is sugar rush and this. And you know, you keep piling that. And the worst part is many don't even check their health. I'm sure that probably a lot of persons here has not even checked their blood sugar level before. And if you've done that, you've probably done that a very long time ago. So you see, these are the things that are important to take note of. And then exercise, it equals compound interest, stress, liability, self-care, equity. And what you neglect today, you see, we always show up as a debt later on. All right. So I'm moving to the next slide. So the silent cost of excellence. Please, are we still together? I want to.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are with
we
you.
are.
Right.
We're together.
I just want to be sure that we are following. So the silent cost of excellence. You know, professional demands often result in chronic stress. poor posture, eye strain, elevated blood pressure, anxiety and burnout, reduced creativity and decision making. You know, like I said before, the truth is that there are some things that can be quite inevitable. For example, stress. The kind of work that I do, especially if you are still working in a place like Nigeria, a medical practitioner, that's and I believe that it is not excluded from most other professions too. Maybe even worse. There are times that we cannot avoid stress. All right. And what I would just recommend is we should avoid chronic stress. All right. And you know, one of the major things that happens to us, chronic stress, poor posturing, I wouldn't be surprised. You see, and please don't feel like I'm attacking us on this group because I've been mentioning, drawing out scenarios from those of us in this meeting. That there are people that are currently listening to me right now, and your posture, the posture of you sitting down, is not a right posture, isn't it? Oh, you can see that you are wondering if I'm looking at you. Well, you see, these are the important things. They seem little, they seem small, but these are the little things to take note of. Then eye strain. I shared my experience of when I was having an eye problem and it led to migraine, elevated blood pressure. There are people that you need to often check your blood pressure, especially when you are doing things relating to finance. You know, when you are doing things relating to finance, I don't know. I may not really know, may not be too vast in this dimension as some of you, but I think that when you do things relating to finance, there are times that your blood pressure tends to elevate beyond normal. All right. Then anxiety and burnout. Then lastly, let me just emphasize a little more on this, is reduce creativity and decision making. Now, you see, because of the kind of things, the burdens that are on you already, because you many times we often think that the more workload and then the more we are trying to, like I said, I didn't believe in sleeping and sleeping in the afternoon and stuff. Like the more I show the seriousness, the more I'll be able to add value to what I'm doing. But the truth is that many of the times it reduces your creativity and your decision making ability. All right, because you are tired, your brain needs rest. You are not healthy enough to prosecute what needs to be prosecuted. So your brain needs rest. So let's move to the next slide. Building a healthy lifestyle. Building a healthy lifestyle. So you have to create wellness routine. It's just a must. If you want to successfully stand out as a business expert, an accountant, financial expert, and many more, you have to prioritize your wellness so much, and you have to create a routine. It could be as simple as, okay, early in the morning, I'm going to ensure to take 2 bottles of water, or 1 bottle of water. This is how I'm going to plan my day. The first thing first, before even talking to anybody, I'm going to do this. Before I start thinking of, oh, I have not done this, I'm going to take a bottle of water, 2 bottles of water, and okay, I'm going to do an exercise, push up. These are the things that are actually very important. You create routines. Okay, at so time, maybe in the afternoon when I'm busy with work, I will create a particular time and just rest and go get a fruit, orange juice. I mean, you have to be intentional about it. It takes a lot of intentionality. All right. And the second thing I have here is schedule rest and breaks. I've been saying this and I'll keep saying it, that, my own perspective was that if I just had to be working and, the more work I put to it. But see, you have to schedule rest and break. That was why I gave the scenario of the fact that there were times whereby 30 minutes was enough for me, to carry on. So schedule rest and break. Then balanced work life, a balanced work life, set boundaries. Everything about you should not just be the work you are, you are doing. You have to be more intentional because, and I will share a story. My elder brother, it was when he was in school, he came out as the best graduating student. So when I got into school, I got into nursing school, one of the perspectives that he instilled to me is how I had to, prepare well. I had to, just focus on my study. And one of the things, he often used to say to me is that do not ensure that you are not encumbered with any other thing. And it's a good advice, but there's a balance to it. All right. It's a good advice. There is a balance to it. So do not encumber yourself with other things. Just face your book and, to my surprise, I
So you have
decided
10
to
minutes.
follow. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I said you have 10 minutes. Thank you.
All right, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, 10 minutes more. Yeah. Or
Okay,
8
sir.
rather. Yes.
Okay, no problem. So to my surprise, I discovered that, the moment I tried to the moment I tried to just face my book the more, I had lesser scores in my school, in my academics than. So there was a time I decided to, okay, I'm going to multitask because we are actually built to multitask. And, I decided to engage other things. And, I found out that those other things I did that were not directly facing my academic, they kind of affected me in such a way that my mind was already built enough. My mind is expanded enough to relate with my brain is stretched enough, if there's anything like that, in such a way that when I now face my academics, I can now function properly. So I'm saying that you have to build a balanced work life, build other things around you, build other structures. I can remember just last week, I still had to visit a game arcade. And of course, this doesn't happen every time. And I don't think it might happen anytime soon. But I'm saying that these things are just part of it. Stay hydrated and stay nourished. Okay, so let's just move on because of our time. So I have something I call the 3M rule. The 3M rule. And the first is move. Endeavor to stretch every 45 to 60 minutes. Take a short walk. You understand the kind of work you are doing. At times, it even makes you, you are able to express further. Then 2, monitor. Know your numbers. And thankfully, I know you guys do a lot of things around numbers. So you have to know your numbers, know your blood pressure, know your sugar level, know your cholesterol, know your weight. These are the simple and important things that are very essential. And then maintain. So what I have here is sleep 6 to 8 hours. Even if you cannot make it up to 8 hours, ensure that at least every day you're able to do about 6 hours of sleep. Eat balanced meals. All right? Eat balanced meals. Practice daily stress management. These are very important. All right? And then, so my next slide, protect mental health. Rest is not laziness. Like I said earlier, resting is not you. It's not a sign of you being lazy. It's also an investment. And you need to begin to see it that way. When you begin to see that moment of you sleeping is also part of your business. Now, use mindfulness and breathing exercise. You understand what that is? Reduce digital overload. There are times that you just have to just calm yourself because of your mental health. All right? Ask for help when overwhelmed. Okay? Maintain social connections. And let's move to our next slide because of the time. Then, building a legacy requires longevity. Building a legacy requires longevity. And I used to make I was in an interview and I was speaking with somebody, and the person asked me that, what's your perspective about success? And I said to the person that, in my own opinion, there are many definitions for success that I also still imbibe, but one of my major definitions of success is being able to build lasting impact. And if we are talking about success in the financial world, in the business world, in my own opinion, I would like to relate it with something that has a relation with lasting impact, longevity. So your success is tied to your wellness. You cannot build something of a lasting impact if it is not relating to if you are not well. A healthy mind sharpens strategy. A healthy body boosts performance, right? Your legacy cannot outlive your body. Are you getting me now? Sustainable impact starts with well-being. Now, that's a major thing you should take note. You cannot be thinking of building something that lasts. And remember, sustainability has to do with success. Sustainability and success works together. And you cannot be talking about sustainability if there is no proper well-being. All right? So my next slide. So practical daily habits that you can follow. I'll just run through this. 10 minutes morning stretch, 2 liters of water a day or per day, desk or ergonomics, cut down excessive caffeine. I think I'm speaking to somebody. Evening digital detox, routine health checks, intentional rest daily. And I think before I close, um I want to say to you that, as you know, remember how we started was that your first capital is your health. So I want you to prioritize health more than anything. Choose health daily. So prioritize wellness the same way you prioritize accuracy and deadlines. All right. That same way you are prioritizing deadlines, you are you are trying to maintain accuracy, is the same way you should prioritize your wellness. Then small lifestyle changes, it equals to major long-term impact. Your health is the engine that drives your success. I want you to take note of that. Your health is the what? The engine that drives your success. So in closing, I just want to say again that healthy professions build strong legacies. So we cannot talk about building strong legacies in the financial world without building a strong and solid healthy lifestyle. It's a major part. You just can't do away with it. So imagine if you are not living a healthy lifestyle now and you think you are doing well in your business. And it's a closing question I'm going to ask, but I want you to answer in your mind before Mr. Divine comes up. Imagine now that you are doing your work and you know deep down that you don't really have an healthy lifestyle and you think you are having a level of success. Think about it. With all I have said so far, what if you are living an healthy lifestyle? How much more? How great is the effect of what you'll be building? So that's my closing question, but I will want you to answer that to yourself. So thank you very much for your time listening to me.
Thank you very much. This is the only part of the speech that resonated with me because, it's my field and, I'm in the medical space. And so I really agree to it. And for those who, you were saying something about everybody being young, and so I feel like I should also mention that personally I struggle with both migraine, hypertension. And so these are no longer illnesses of the old. The illnesses that young people can have because of stress. I do a whole lot of stuff. And so if you're a young person here who is multitasking and you feel very productive, I mean, you are very productive, you should also be looking at the producer, the manufacturer, which is your body, and know the state which it's in. A very timely advice and counsel to young professionals, especially in the finance space, who would most likely be risk factors to some of the things that are endemic for these very popular, or rather, pandemic issues. So please, let's go straight to take one question, or two questions immediately, and then I would inform us about some of the opportunities that have just hit everybody who has been part of this. And, we'll invite our convener again to do the closing remarks. We are now at the last days at Focados High. Let me welcome anybody who has a question. Please unmute and ask. All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, my question is this. Thank you so much, first of all. So this is my question. You talked about exercise, right? And I wanted to ask basically, how often should it be done? Because finance, I'm doing my IT currently, and there's barely breathing space. So I'm out of the house 6, I'm back 7, and then I have other things that I'm doing that is not even work. So I barely have time for anything. Before I know it, I'm resting. The next day up, out again, we're back. And this is Lagos. Lagos is stressful, right? Lagos is stressful. Jumping bus up and down and all of that. So how often should it be done? If it can't be done every day, how often should it be done?
Okay, that's a good question, but I wouldn't say that there is, you know, a, a particular time is doing, I think your question, because my network went, you know, AY at some point, but I wouldn't say that you should, for the part of exercise, that this is the number of times you should be exercising. But at the same time, we all understand that we cannot build anything important without consistency. So, I mean, you can, if you can, for example, you mentioned, being in Lagos, the work life there, how it is. If you are unable to like meet up with what you plan to do, ensure that you put it in place the following day at least. All right. So even if it's something that you may not fully give consistency with. So I remember the way I was trained in nursing school, one of my mentors like that will always say to me that if you are asked to if you're asked to, if he wants to give people assignments and he wants to give you the assignment of accomplishing it, all you need to accomplish is 5 tasks. He can intentionally give you 10 tasks. Why is he giving that 10 tasks? And that 10 tasks actually seems impossible because of the little time. But he knows that if he just tells you to do the 5 tasks, you are likely going to just do 1 or 2 or even do nothing. But him telling you to do 10, eventually, even if you don't do anything at all, you are likely going to do 4 out of the task. So I'm saying this to say that you just have to be intentional. All right. I don't know if I'm able to answer you well.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for your
Good
time.
afternoon.
So quickly to my question, how do we introduce, like if we are in the position to, because if you're in Lagos, it is hard to get to work-life balance. It's extremely hard. So how do we pitch it to the management to kind of incorporate work-life balance? Is there a modest way we can go about it? Is there something we can suggest and all of that? Thank you.
Okay. Well, I also don't believe that there is actually any balance really in the real sense. We just have to, make prioritization. We have to prioritize to, and that was one of the reasons why I started to say that, because many people, why we don't balance we don't give opportunity for a healthy lifestyle is because we have not begun to see our wellness as an investment and a part of our capital itself. So in that case, I would say it depends on the kind of place you are working. All right, the kind of particular. Please, can you hear me? I think my device is. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So it depends on the kind of place you are working actually, but at the same time, you have to just, if I may not be the best to like tell you how to pitch this, but remember that one of the things I said is, in the first place, you cannot even work accurately at your workplace if you are not well. And these are the advantages of that you can present to your workspace, to your firm. These are the major advantages that you can present to your place. So it's very important. And what more do I want to say? Okay, I think I've forgotten what I wanted to say. I'm a bit kind of distracted. But please, it's very important. And just in case your firm or where you work does not give you the leverage or the chance of giving yourself the kind of rest you desire, please just ensure to create it, because the truth is that you cannot function maximally without a good health, without wellness in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Nurse Abaroluwa Daniel. It's been an amazing time with you. We're very glad about the experiences you've had, the fact that you didn't just share theory, but you shared from the experiences that you've had, both managing these health conditions and experiencing them. And I think that is one of the most wholesome approaches to, conversations around health, because it's either a person managing does not know how it feels, or the person who is feeling it does not know how to manage. And so it's very amazing that you know both. Again, speaking to how resourceful the convener has been in selecting the best to have the conversations that we've had, in the past 2 hours. And I don't know, there are 57 people here, and at some point there were 70. These are 50 to 70 of the most luckiest people, around among young people today, because while other people have spent their Saturday doing other things, they've spent time to be here to benefit, to gain, to grow, to develop their minds. Myself, as the moderator, have also learned so much, and all thanks to our convener, Mr. Solomon, who will be coming up shortly. For staying, up to this point, screenshots have been taken, and we've taken note also of your emails, because some opportunities will be sent to you. A form will be sent to everybody via their email where you would apply, because Ledgers to Legacy has graciously, embarked on giving scholarships. So let me just announce to you that there'll be scholarships for ICANN examinations, 6 for March, 6 for September, and 6 for November. And he has also told me that graciously it will increase yearly. So this is not just a family or a cohort where you listen to, webinars like these that are life transforming, but there are also is also a space where opportunities abound. And this is aside the scholarship to courses, the digital tech courses that he mentioned that can aid, your performance as a finance person, as an accountant, so there's also going to be those scholarships or discounts, ease of grant. The slide of every speaker would also be sent to everybody's email, and a meeting will be on YouTube. So I think I will call this a complete meeting, because it didn't just have, problem fad, and then of course action calls were made, and there was follow-up support for people to be able to take the action that they've been called to take. Even if you're not shortlisted or chosen for any of these opportunities I've mentioned, which I doubt there will be anybody who wouldn't benefit from at least one. But even if you're not, just stay put, and just know that the opportunity is coming your way. It's been a pleasure hosting all of you here as the moderator. I am Ekweremadu Divine, probably one of the few people from the East in this conversation today. And like I said, I'm a youth development enthusiast, and it's always my pleasure to watch young people. Let me just mention that I'm the SA on Student Affairs, so the Commissioner for Youth and Sports in Enugu State. And this is probably one of those kinds of engagement that we would want to partner with in the future, the Ministry for Youth and Sport in Enugu, to, develop the mind of young people in Enugu State here and bring them up to speed with what is happening, in bigger cities like Lagos and Abuja. So thank you very much, Mr. Solomon, for the opportunity. I want to call you up now to give your closing remarks, and of course, we'll call it a day. Like I said, it's been an amazing pleasure, and I can't express my gratitude well enough. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you to the moderator. Thank you to everybody who has sat here to listen. I am your humble host and moderator, Ekweremadu Divine. God bless you all.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Divine. Thank you to all our speakers, Mr. Babajide BBM, Mrs. Oyinda Mala, and Mr. Agbara Oluwa. So it's been an insightful section, over 2 hours now, going to 3 hours now. So, and apart from being an expert or with my years of experience in the industry, I've also learned a lot here today. Yeah, regarding the tax issues on the financing and accounting, and also on the health issue as well. So, because the reason why the health issue was actually brought in was because I've been to a lot of seminars, been to conferences like this. But one thing I noticed that is missing out is this health talk as well, because you can only create a legacy. You can do well when you are healthy, yes. Or when you are not, when you don't have a sound health, there are going to be limitations to where you can go. Yes, there are going to be. We have some people who are. I'm going to say that they don't like noise, so because of that, you might not be able to attend some conferences, some seminars, to do presentation. Even the fact that you are smart, you are good, you are outspoken, and all of that. So there are going to be limitations to all of that. Yes, and I will say on this health issue, every one of us have been guilty before, because me myself have been guilty. I remember there was one afternoon like that. I was just sleeping, so I was trying to take a rest, and that rest was as if my life was about to be ended, because that very day I've been having symptoms of malaria and all of that. But I kept on working, kept on working. So I just said, let me take a nap for 5 minutes. Before you know it, it was as if they were about to take my life. I was already in another realm. So so since that time, I've actually taken health as priority. It is very important in what we are doing. And whenever we are experiencing burnout, just like he said, go out, take a walk, drink water, and all of that. So I just want to appreciate every one of us for staying to this moment. Just like Mr. Divine said, Ledgers to Legacy is not just a one-time thing. So you'll be asking, okay, is it the end of Ledgers to Legacy? No. We have our WhatsApp community. So you'll be getting the links. You've been the links have been sent to your emails earlier, but you still be getting them again so that you can join, because we have webinars, some summits that will be coming up next year. We have a whole lot of full package for you coming 2026. And one of the things we're also going to be looking at in 2026 is like a campus store, going to university, going to schools around, for this kind of seminars and summit as well. So for you to keep informed, for you to get updated on what we are going to be doing from time to time. So I will encourage you to join our WhatsApp community. So the WhatsApp community is just, so we learn there. You have question, you're having issue in your workplace. Maybe someone, you were given one transaction, you don't know how to enter them. You don't know how to post them. You can always drop the questions on the community. So we have people there. We have different professionals that are going to provide answers to them. You can also follow our social media pages. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram. We are on X, that's formerly known as Twitter. We are on Facebook. So the name is the same thing, Ledgers to Legacy, Ledgers to Legacy. So you can follow us to keep updated on what next we are going to be doing. And I promise you, next year is going to be more insightful as well. So this is just the beginning, because this is our first seminar. This is our first webinar. And for us to have this kind of number, we are coming out from nowhere. We are coming out from nowhere. But for us to have this kind of number, it means that we've been having impact in the life of people, and the testimony they've heard from one or two people make them to be here today. And I believe that by the time you share what you learned today to someone else as well, they will be interested to join our community. So our community is open to everybody. It's open to everybody. You are a student, even if you are a secondary school person, you have someone in secondary school passionate about accounting, finance, and he wants to grow quickly. All of these things are going to help them. How do they navigate their career growth? So it is. So I will just add to everything they've been said. So one of the most important things is that coming 2026, is going to be another stress beginning of the year. You just have to be open. You need to leave your comfort zone. For you to be seen, for you to create legacy, you need to leave your comfort zone, because many of us, we love staying in our comfort zone. Oh, I can't do beyond this. I can't do more than that. They want to keep me. They want to do that. No, you have to go beyond your comfort zone, because if you stay in your comfort zone, there is no way you are going to be known. So you will just remain there, you remain stagnant. You'll be like, oh, I've been in this industry for 30 years and all of that. So you need to leave your comfort zone. Then take on roles. Go for volunteers for roles in your workplace. They are looking for someone who is trying to work on a task. Volunteer yourself. I will be able to do this. Then in board meetings, another thing that will really help you is to speak up, because one of the things I've seen many people say is that whenever they are asking questions, suggestion in management, oh, do you have anything to add? Bashira, do you have anything to add? Abiodun, do you have anything? You say, oh no, they've all said it. Oh no, you don't say things like that. You don't say, because they will take you as unserious person. They'll be like, oh, this person cannot think, this person is not creative enough. So even if they have said what is in your mind, you can say that, okay, now just to prostrate on the point of Mr. ABC, so you can just emphasize on whatever other people have said. So with that, they will know that, okay, you are following, you are also, that you are not, that you are part of the meeting. So don't just say that, oh, I don't have anything to say, I don't have anything to contribute, oh, it's okay, everybody have said, if you said everybody have said, that means you are, they might probably wish you farewell out of the door, out of the office. So then go for skills, go register for trainings, go for workshops and all of that. They will really, really help you, because your certificate will open doors for you, but your skills will make you to remain in the room. We keep you in the room. We keep you in the room. Now, there are new tax reforms. You need to get updated on them. How did I go? How did I update myself? How did I cover this knowledge gap and all of that? So you need to go for trainings, webinars, seminars, summit that are going to be talking about all of this. And just like Mr. Mr. Divine announced, by God's grace, we're going to be giving out scholarships to people, because this is what we are passionate about, making impact, ensuring that people are doing well. I don't just want to do well alone. The people in the community, my team member, don't just want to be the only one saying this and that, but ensure that everybody around you would gain something from you. So ensure that they gain something from you. So we're going to be starting next year for people who are going to be writing ATS. We're going to be giving scholarship for people writing ATS 1, 2, and 3 in May. You are writing professional skill, foundation skills, and professional level. We're going to same thing to September and November as well. So all you just need to do is check out your mail. A form will be sent to you to fill it. Once you fill it, we have your information. A committee will review it, and they will reach out to you as well. So once again, I want to appreciate everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. I know that you've really learned a lot. So go on social media pages. You can tag us L2L Global webinar, Ledgers to Legacy. Tag us on all our social media pages that, oh, you were part of this webinar and this is what you learned and all of that. We're going to really appreciate that. So thank you so much. So we're going to be seeing again next year, not just next year, but we're also going to be communicating more on our WhatsApp community. Thank you very much, and I wish you a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Sorry, how do we join the WhatsApp community?
All right. The links to the WhatsApp will be sent to your email. The link to the community will be sent to your email. You get that? All right. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So this brings us to the end of our 2025 global webinar. See you next year.